Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, Jerusalem psychotherapist. This week's Torah and Psychology post, Parshas Tavo, is going to discuss active listening. In this week's Parsha, we read about the brachas and the klalos that were said at Hagrizim and Ha'evav. And after each declaration, the Bnei Yisrael responded by saying Amen. And the question could be asked, why did the Bnei Yisrael have to respond every time with the word Amen? Because there's a halachic principle of Shomer Ka'ona, that when you listen and you have the intention to listen, this can be equivalent to actually speaking and saying a bracha, for example. So perhaps the Bnei Yisrael could have just stood there and listened with kavana, with the intention to accept upon themselves the brachas and the klalos that were being said. So why did they have to actually say the word Amen? Rav Soloveitchik explains that this was a communal acceptance, a communal commitment, and therefore the silence and the listening would not have been enough for the Bnei Yisrael to accept upon themselves as a community the brachas and the klalos. It required a verbal declaration, a verbal agreement, and therefore they had to say the word Amen. But I'd like to expand on this idea further, this idea of Shomer Ka'ona, that listening equates to speaking and responding, and how this applies to psychology. Because in psychology, there's this concept of active listening. And active listening is when a person really listens. And this is important for therapy, and it's important for life, for any interaction and relationship that we have in our life. Because active listening is when we listen in order to understand, rather than listening in order to reply. And this is a vital skill for communication, for communicating with other people. And when we use active listening, it gives the person that's talking this sensation that they are really being understood, as if the person is actually responding to them. The active listening is as if words are being expressed by the person listening. Shomer Ka'ona is active listening. No words need to be expressed. The silence expresses a million words. So how is active listening applied? How do we see it in action? So first of all, there's a concept of the third ear. The third ear is when a person really listens to what's being said and is able to tune in to the deeper layers of meaning in what's being expressed. They're able to tune in and hear what's not being expressed. They're able to understand the emotional level that's being conveyed through the conversation. And this is active listening. And active listening will therefore give a person a sense that they're being listened to and understood, and it gives a deep level of support. And the research shows that when in trauma victims, social support is a vital ingredient to being able to overcome the trauma. And the research has shown that people who are victims of trauma, the level of social support is measured in a subjective way. It's the perceived level of social support. And through this research, it shows that the more a person feels that they are being supported, the more they're able to overcome the symptoms and the trauma of what they have experienced. But interesting, there's a research that shows that, for example, when someone is undergoing a surgery, cataract surgery, the research showed that by having someone there holding their hand, was able to decrease and lower the levels of anxiety of the person during the surgery. So we see that just having someone there, having someone hold your hand, gives you this sense of support to help you to overcome challenges and difficulties. And I think this is the significance of active listening, of Shomer Ka'ona. It gives the significance and the feeling that someone is there for you, that they are supporting you. No words need to be expressed. The silence, the deep level of the deep listening and understanding gives the person the sensation that they are really being supported. Have a great Shabbos and keep well.